Okay, so I'm going to go through this activity 222. This is purely as a reference if you miss class, if you need to go back and look at what we did, or if you're just really stuck, you can look at this video. It should help you out because I'm going to go through the entire lab itself. So first off, let's look at the directions. This is activity 222 under cybersecurity. It goes through server vulnerabilities, and the main piece of this is you're becoming a pen tester. So you're going to test different situations in a controlled environment, which is great because you don't have to worry about breaking anyone's system or actually taking any information or breaking any laws for that matter. So this is a great environment to do it in. Project Lead the Way gives you a virtual machine to use, so that's what we're going to go through today. So first off, we're going to look at web servers. How are they controlled? How are they organized? This piece just goes through how this is a controlled environment, how you don't really get to worry about anything, and then what a pen tester is. So you can click on this link, and it will give you just a career profile of essentially what they do, what training they need, and what their salary is. So you're going to simulate a pen test today. This first piece goes through how servers work. So because I'm looking at this, I'm going to assume that the pen test we're doing is taking information from forced file systems, but let's see what happens here. So web servers, they are public facing, which just means that they can be accessed through a public domain or through the internet. Anyone can access them. And this part just has you think about what makes up a website. You guys have seen this. We've done this in class when we've made websites. You know it's just a folder. It's a folder on a system somewhere that someone accesses. They open up an HTML file and voila, they got their website on their screen. So with that, this first piece is looking at something called an IIS, or the Microsoft's Web Service Software. It lets you host that actual website. And then the different file structure, logging, how everything's kind of organized with it. Essentially, it's all in this int folder here. It's under local disk C, and then it will give you that index.html file, which we know is that main file that you access, and that's where you can get all your like buttons that lead to other pages, etc. It does talk about forceful browsing, so that's essentially if I look up at the top of my web page here, and I'll show you my screen. Maybe. If I look at the top of my webpage here, I have mypltw.org/cyber/lab/109. So I know my website is pltw.org, but it's also accessing a folder called cyber, and then another folder called lab, and then another file or folder called 109. So if I were to change this, and I'm not going to because last time I did it messed up the lab I was in, but if I were to change this 109 to a 108, it would actually open up lab 108. Same thing, 107, it would open up lab 107. So this ending structure can be changed to anything that you think may be there in order to access it. And that's what they're talking about with this forceful browsing. They give you some examples here. If you look at an online calendar, it goes user 7 index HTM. It's giving you the calendar for user 7. So if you were to type in user 6, you would get a calendar just for user 6. That's just forcing the browser to go somewhere you want it to. There's no button, there's no link to it, you're making it do it. So first off, it's going to have you open up the lab. I already have mine open. If you have not opened yours yet, it's always good to open these before you start reading the directions and everything because they do take a minute or two to get open. It says like 10 sometimes. It only usually takes 2. Okay, so it's giving us the topology of how this machine's set up. So the security lab is configured with 2 virtual machines. When you log in, you'll log in the first one. So this is my login machine. Use the client. Be used as a client machine to access a website from a web browser. In this lab, your login machine has an IP address of 172.30.0.6. So I'm going to write that down just so I have it. 172.30.0.6 is my login machine. Okay. Target window 1 is the other virtual machine. Target window 1. It's accessible from the connections desktop folder within the lab. The virtual machine hosts a web server. So the web server address is 172.30.0.6. 15. All right, I just like to write these numbers down, that way I can quickly reference them without having to scroll through everything. So this is the machine we're on. This is the machine that accesses our website. So we're going to open a browser on the login machine. In the browser address bar, enter this number. Okay, so we're going to go to our browser. So we got 172.30.015. Oh, no dots. Okay, that button doesn't work. 30.0.15. All right. / hidden directory 1 / myfile.txt. All right, so what happens? We're going to get this site snaptogram.com, user bill, password, stellar password. All right, so it's someone's hidden login information. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go to hidden directory 2. So I'm just going to copy this. No need to retype the whole thing. Oh, I guess that doesn't work. There we go. I'm on a Mac, but the actual control keys work for the Windows, so hidden directory 2. You're looking at has been removed. Okay, has it been removed? Missed. The path is a 404. Yep, so it's not there. Hidden directory 1. So we're just going to go to the directory rather than that file. Okay, so it gives the file we already opened and then my other file. So hidden directory. This is my text file. What else do we get? My other file. Okay, so with these two, you can take a screenshot of this page right here. That way I know you were able to access this. These two you're going to access later, so you don't need to take a screenshot of that. But screenshot, you can put that in your worksheet that we're going to be working on here. All right, so match the term to the correct definition. Let's take a look at this. So back in the directions, this is where it was saying screenshot for evidence. So a machine that responds to a request received when a user navigates to an unreferenced location on a remote machine, and a machine that requests web page using a browser. So forceful browsing is going to be the middle one, obviously, because it's not a reference location, but it's available. That's what we just did. A machine that responds to a request, that is going to be the server, and then someone that's requesting something is always going to be the client. So those are the... Oh, you got to put it right in the middle or else it won't get it. But those are the answers. Apparently I didn't read it when it was off a little bit there. So make sure you put it right in the middle or it's not going to read your answer correctly. All right, so website directory structure. So we've looked at forceful browsing, essentially just pushing your way into a folder. So you attempted to exploit the site externally from without using the web and browser hidden files. Next, you will investigate the site internally. So we're on the client. We accessed this website with the directories from a different system. Now they want to do it with that system. So we're going to go into the server itself. Let's see, connections. This is pretty cool because it actually lets you go to, let's see, lets you go to other machines, but it just has links right in here for it. So we're going to go to the target window 1. Yep. And this is going to open a remote desktop connection to the server. So the network it has set up of the machines, it'll let us go to that. Takes a minute to load. It always gives you the IP address of the machine you're connecting to at the top, which is great because that way if you have multiple open, you can see, okay, this one is whatever address. I just wrote the IP addresses down, so I know the 172.30.015, that's going to be my web server because I did write it down. I'm just going to say yes, just to get rid of that. Okay, so it references that in our directions as well, but you can see it here. We got that address right at the top of the screen. From the taskbar of Target Window 1, open File Explorer to examine its directory structure. So I'm opening File Explorer. I'm going to go to C drive. Oh, that's weird. This PC, C on win. Okay, I'm going to go to this drive, the local C, because that's going to be that in pub directory. So navigate to local disk C, refer to figure 1 above if necessary, and open the in pub directory. So yeah, it's asking us to go to that same thing where we get this. We're going to go to that in pub. The results will be different from default listing in figure 1 because it's a different folder. Document the directory structure with in pub folder listing. Following in particular, you need them in a later activity. So the name of the subfolders and files in pub. You don't need to write these down, just take a screenshot of this. It's so much easier and then you can reference it later. The names of the files in www root. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this just so I have it for later. And then I'm going to go in that www root and do the same thing. Explain how the contents of hidden directory 1 folder relate to the screenshot you took in step 3D. So, hidden folder 3D, which was up here. Oh, it's just the pages that are in there. So what'd you discover? Hidden folder directory 1, it's the same thing. Now we're just on the physical server accessing it. So if I go into here, and I'm not going to pull up my screenshot of it, but we know we accessed that my file. We know we accessed my other file. If you are still unsure, if you double click on these, you will see that login information that we had. So the Snapgram bill, still our password, and that Funkbook Sarah super secret password. So that's the same stuff we saw online. We were just remotely accessing it before. Now we're accessing it on the actual server. All right, so let's scroll back down here. I'm just going through the directions. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying scrolling. Explain how the contents of 1, we did that. Explain why hidden directory 2 caused an error. Okay, so I didn't even look at that. Let's look at the hidden directory 2. Why did it cause an error? Because there is no hidden directory 2. That's why it caused an error. So you can only browse to what is available, and hidden directory 1 is here, but 2 is not. That's why it gave you a 404 error saying it could not access it. It can't access something that is not there. Target window 1, we can X out of this, so we don't need to be in this virtual machine anymore. Be disconnected, that's fine. Recall that by default the web services stores in the in-pub folder. Using the directory structure of what you learned about forceful browsing, hidden directory 1, craft 2 of your own forceful browsing addresses and try them in the Chrome browser. So for this step, what I want to see from you is we know what those files are, and it actually shouldn't have had you close out this connections first, because this is how you're going to create your forceful browsing. You're going to go back into that target 1. And you actually have to see what's going on in here. So this is where you can either, like I said, open this up, or remember those screenshots that I took that it actually said to take up here because you're going to use them later? You're going to look at those screenshots. So for a forceful browsing, you could just do the address we have up top, which would be 172.30.0.15. You don't have to do hidden directory 1. You can do anything in here. Just show me that you can forcefully browse to it from a client machine. That's what I'm looking for. You can take a screenshot of the top of that page, just where the web browser is, and then that you can add to your document. All right, so compare with another student. We'll just see what each other have. That's all. We'll take a look at it. You've tested the outside world. Can browse the directory structure. Yep. Now you want to look at the logs. So log files provide an awesome amount of information. We've seen this. We've used them. Log files are created when you access sites when you have an IIS server configured on a system. So it creates the log files for accessing data on there. So they can use that to plan an attack on the network. They can modify, delete log files, so it gets rid of their tracks. So if you are a pen tester or pen testing for a system, or you're a black hat black hat hacker, you can go in, delete your trace that you've ever accessed that file, and nobody will even know you were there, which a lot of people do. So these are important. You got to make sure that they're securely stored, or else they can do this. So using the browser, they're going to determine how it's been configured. So we're going to go to Chrome first on the login machine, which I am not there. This machine is that login machine. Knowing that the web server has default settings, user directory structure, documentation to forcefully browse the log files. So knowing that has default settings, I'm going to go to that 172.30.30.15. But I'm not going to go to hidden directory. Most likely it's in a folder called logs. Yep, so log files is the directory, and it's going to give me those log files right there. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that the default folder name for logs is logs, and then it goes into log files. So we have one from February 28th, we have one from January 20th, 2021, which is today. That's why that's popping up. So this should give me the log of me accessing that file back and forth, but let's see what they're asking for. This will give you a hint too. Yep, just logs. Record what you see. Are there subdirectories? Yes, there is a subdirectory called log files. What's inside of them? Take a screenshot of this. You don't need to do these individual screenshots, so just take one screenshot of where you're in logs, log file, and it shows the log files. This will be sufficient. Browsers cannot display log files, but the files can be downloaded. Download and open the log file. All right. Oh, we got more in here. So these are all the logs. Got this one. I assume this is from today. And one of the log files is information very valuable to a malicious hacker. What is the file and what does it contain? All right, so now we need to find the log file that has something that a hacker would want. Probably a password. Accessing a password. Anyone know what 127.0.0.1 is? Think about that. You should know what that is. Log files. This is just me accessing the log file. Apple WebKit, that's because I'm on a Mac trying to access a Windows virtual machine. That's all that means. And I'm using Mozilla Firefox. Cool. Alright, so it's not in there. Next. Oh, I see a username. That's something I might want. Crypto API. CloudSystemNetworks.com. Nothing in there. Moving on. I don't want a password in here, so log files. Okay, I'm gonna look in. I'm gonna go back one. I'm gonna go to this one because I created this one, but since they created that one, probably something in here that they want us to find. And then I'm gonna go to the biggest file just because why not start there? All right, so this is it because let's take a look. We got access. Okay, control channel opened. Data channel open. Close. Ports. Data channel. Okay, my bad file.htm. Resources, my bad file. So this is possibly something. Okay, they're storing my bad file. They have quit. FTP root, which means they were file transferring a file into this root folder. These are all red flags. Okay, right here, look at this. In our internet access folder, in the FTP root, which means the root directory in which they're transferring files into, they transferred a file that says mybadfile.html. I don't even need to look at any more of this. I already know what's going on. Take a screenshot of one of these, whether it's the one up above, this one, any one of these will suffice because it shows me that you actually looked at the file to see, okay, something's going on here. All right. So that's the evidence, just the my bad file piece. Screenshot that. Um, Anytime Project Lead the Way puts files in here, I'm just assuming it's something to do with that. But let's see if we can actually find that file now. So that should be in. What am I in right now? Oh, I have to go in here. I'm just gonna look. It's not asking me to do this. It might. I'm just seeing if it's actually there or not. Okay, so FTP root. Nothing in there. My bad file. Doesn't find anything in here. Oh. Did that say it deleted it? It might have deleted it. Oh. Okay, I'm not gonna keep looking. It probably deleted it, but maybe they'll show us it at some point. I'm just assuming because they had us access it through there that they're gonna show us where that file ended up. Okay, so you gotta have a good understanding of directory structures. That's known just because standard directory structures, Windows-based directory structures, logs, users, Windows, program files, x60, x86. These are all standard folder directories, or I should just say directories, that Windows creates. So you should have a basic understanding of those. Web servers should not use default settings and file locations such as log files and other sensitive content. So if you are having these, getting rid of these base folders for a web server, this right here is just a standard PC. But on the web server itself, the one that I've accessed through the connections, you should change those. Change it to anything else, really. Information, data logs, something. Or put a password on it. Because if you don't, the standard file formatting that everyone is told to remember, it's easily accessible. Okay, let's see. Exploitable services. E-commerce sites and support connection for applications, databases. So they have a host, there's a server, there's one computer that houses all this information. So FTP lets you transfer files, but if it's not configured right, you could get unsafe content. Filezilla, we've talked about this. I believe I've showed you this. Transferring files is great, makes it super easy, but if you don't have a password or a secured login for it, anyone can transfer files to your server or your system, depending on what you're hosting. In the next few steps, you're going to use FTP. Oh, we're using Filezilla. Yes, my favorite. I love Filezilla. This is a great tool. I think we've played with this before. We've used some of this before. You're going to download this on your computers at some point. You can use it on here, though, because it's already on here, which is great. Click through these little eyes. It tells you, oh, let me show you this. That might help. Click through these little eyes on here because it actually shows you what all this stuff does. You get a host name, so you put that host name in to allow that remote connection. The host name can just be the IP address. That's it. But you're going to need a username and password, whether it's your local login username and password or one you create for a specific FTP account. That is up to you. Moving down the directory structure. So this is your computer. This is the system that you are taking files from currently. So if I have Filezilla installed on this computer right here, it's going to show me the files that are on this computer. On the other side is going to show you the files that are on that remote server or that remote computer, the ones that you want to transfer it to. Down below, these are just files from that that are going to appear for transfer. And then one on the remote that will appear there as well. So you get the folders and the files, just the structure moving down. Okay, so on the local machine or local site, use the plus icon to expand folder and select resources folder. Resources. Let's switch back over here. Confirm the contents of this folder and file explorer, navigate to the C resources folder. Okay, I'm there. You should see the same contents that are shown in Filezilla. Oh, it just wants me to open Filezilla. Okay, so I'm gonna open this. I'm in the C resources folder already. We're not gonna check for an update. I'm just gonna pull this over. So in the C resources folder, local to C resources, I have prize and supplementary file. If I go to C resources, same thing, supplementary file, prizes. So it is confirmed that these are both the same. Take a screenshot of this. This is going to be included in your worksheet. You should see the same content shown. Yep. In the host field in Filezilla, enter 172.30.015. So now we're going to access that web server. .30.15. Okay, we got that. In the username, enter anonymous and then click quick connect. Oof. So this is not secure. Anonymous, quick connect. Let's see. So, insecure server, it does not support FTP. Logging in. All right, well, it logged me in. Retrieving listing, calculating time zone offset. So if it's in a different time zone, it will fix that. Listing successful. So now I'm going to be able to see what's on this remote connection that I'm in. My local computer, we just saw that because I could see that supplementary files on the remote server or on my web server. It's looking at the main directory. I can expand this. It'll give me all this stuff here. And then it will give me the individual folders and files that I can access when they're modified, everything. So this is just the remote system. What does this tell you about the web server? Well, it's not secure. Failed to retrieve directory listing. So it says failed, but it's still accessing all these. So what does this tell you about the web server? That it's not secure. You can take a screenshot just of this piece up here because it'll show you not secure right up at the top. Connection established, waiting for welcome message, insecure server. Take a screenshot of this. That's what it's asking right there. This is number 16, by the way. What does this tell you about the web service or server? Save a screenshot as evidence. That's your screenshot, what I just told you right there. Okay, use the steps below to upload two files, prize.html and supplementary file.html from the login machine, local machine, to target window 1 using Filezilla. On the server machine or remote site, browse. So it wants us to put it in this www root file. So I'm going to go to there, int, and then the www root. Okay, it doesn't say anything else in there. So now I'm going to go over here and I can actually just, it's easy enough to, I'm going to click on one, hold shift, click on the other. If I right click and hit upload, it will add them right to that www root because I'm already in that root file. So I'm already in there. Now those two files are in there. And it tells you how to do that here. You can drag, shift, click, whatever. I just like doing the upload, that way I know nothing gets weird. And it gives you an example here. Did they upload successfully? Well, it shows them here, but in order to actually see if they did, we have to access that remote connection. So I'm going to go into the target window. And I'm going to go here. See, here, there. And I got that one and that one. Perfect. So yes, they did. What does this tell you about security of the remote site target window 1? Just like the security of anything else we've touched so far, nothing is secure. Not configured securely. Yep. So nothing's secure. It needs more security. It needs encryption. It needs passwords. Something on it to stop this from happening. And this is what's going on with local systems that are supporting web services. People try to host a website from their house or from their own computer, which is great. It's awesome to host your own content, but if it's not secured, anyone can upload, download files from it. Disconnect and close the security lab. All right, well, we are going to pull these back over then. So we are out of the security lab. Now, we are going to take a look at, let's see, servers should not provide services, FTP, especially anonymous. You should always have a password on your services. Please, 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 if you do not, especially a secure password, and we know what a secure password is, it has capital letter, numbers, and symbols in there. Anyone can access your services, so please make sure those are secure. Especially businesses. We're looking at this bikes and boards business. That's what all this is going to be based off of, is bikes and boards and how we can optimize their business technology structure, but also make them secure. So we're not going to go into the next activity yet. You do not have to answer this summary question. I talked about this as we were going through it, so don't worry about that. We are going to do the optional extension, so I'm going to assign you in groups for this. We will be doing this in person in class. If you're on Zoom, you'll be able to access it. You will still have a partner for this, so don't worry about that. But this is the end of this exercise. So all the screenshots that we did go through and take, you can add to that worksheet and you can upload it right to Canvas.